From here, you're welcome to come to a comfortable seated place. If you want to start in a seated shape, if you want to begin laying back down, that's okay too. But whatever works for you. Feel free to find some of your blankets or pillows or props, whatever you're interested in using to support yourself today. And then once you've found a comfortable place to begin, you can close your eyes and allow yourself to arrive in stillness. If closing your eyes is uncomfortable for you at this point in time, that's okay. Just bring your gaze down, not looking at anything specific. And we'll start to arrive into our internal space. And sitting within the stillness of the body, sitting within the space of the breath, and then of course, sitting within that internal gaze behind the eyes. And as we arrive into our yin practice, right, whether this is a newer yin practice or you've been in yin for a while now, but we do talk about this idea of softening, releasing, and letting go. And we will continue to talk about that, even for our class tonight. But for our focus for class today, I don't want to only reference this idea of letting go. I also want us to start to think about the idea of letting in. So we're having this push-pull or wave effect, right? There is a release, and let's continue to work with that. That's the point of our yin practice. But now, can we also allow this idea of abundance or this idea of letting in? We're working to reclaim space within the physical body, the energetic body, the mental, emotional body. And if we create that space, we also have more space to acquire or to let in. So we'll think about that tonight throughout our practice. Not only do we have to be in this vulnerable practice to soften, to let go, and to release, we'll stay within that vulnerable space to also let in and to also receive. So ultimately, we will release into the practice, but we will also receive from the practice. So with that in mind, let's find a few cleansing breaths together. Let's inhale through the nose. And then open the lips to exhale. Again, like that, deep breath in. And a deep breath out. One more time, full inhale. And a complete exhale. And then gently come back to the natural breath. Noticing warmth present throughout your belly, your chest, maybe even around the cheeks of the face and the bridge of the nose. And as we come together to make or to hear that sound of Om, you can keep your hands relaxed where they are. You can bring them into a prayer shape at heart center. Listening or joining me as we come together to make that sound of Om, taking a deep breath in. Very gently, you can bow your chin towards your chest. Taking a moment here to allow the vibrations to settle within the heart space, allowing them to reverberate off of the walls of the inner body, and allow them to seal your intentions for practice. So whenever you're ready, you can slowly open the eyes and bring the hands away. We'll welcome ourselves back into our space as those eyes start to flutter open. And then as we come into our practice tonight, we're going to start with a double stretch. So let me actually turn to the side so I can show you guys. We're going to first start in deer. So when I come to sit on my tailbone, propping with a blanket, my left shin is going to come in front of me and my right leg will open back behind me. So, and we've also done this pose many times. You may need to support your left glute or your right glute evenly, one more than the other. Just see what feels best for your hips. And then you'll create your pillows and blankets to fold over your left shin. Maybe you're going to hug your props around you. Or if you're using any blocks or books, you can always make a higher stack, right, to support yourself. Okay, so we're coming into deer first, and then immediately as we slowly release from deer, that back right leg is going to straighten, right? So this will cause us to all shift a little bit. We won't be facing the same point. So we'll all shift a little bit to the side. That right back leg is going to straighten. The left knee has an option to stay open with the hip as it just was in deer, or you can internally rotate instead. Okay, and then we're going to fold. And then maybe you still need to take your props and come that way. Okay, so once we get into this actual pose, I'll talk a little bit more about how you can set yourself up. But just so you know, that's the imagery. That's where we're going. We're going to start in one direction, forward folding over that left shin in deer. Once we come up, we'll be pivoting to the side to move into another forward fold. Okay. So feel free to rearrange your props. And then from there, when you're ready to find stillness, you'll allow the eyes to close. If you have any questions about the shape of deer, you're more than welcome to ask. Even if you just wave your hand at the camera, I'll unmute you so that you can ask your question without having to get up. But from here, we'll begin to arrive. We don't have to focus too much on the theme of class just yet. Let's begin to let ourselves arrive into the space. Entering into the first pose as we acknowledge the sensations of stretch. And see for yourself what your body is revealing to you. You may be stretching in similar places as you've done in previous weeks. Or maybe tonight you're stretching in newer areas. So as we honor these places, we'll start to allow the breath to enter. Right? Notice the breath, feel the breath, acknowledge the breath. You may have found yourself already soft, but now we'll consciously begin to do so. If you're squeezing at the eyebrows, allow the eyes to soften. Relaxing through the cheeks and the jaw. Letting your neck and shoulders soften down. And continue to let your front body release. The release to the chest, the release to the diaphragm, the release to the belly. And you'll relax through the glutes, the muscles along the thighs. And you'll soften through the knees, releasing through the calves and into the arches of the feet. Experiencing some levels of comfort and maybe some levels of discomfort. From here, we'll begin to gently awaken the arms and hands. We'll start to walk ourselves up as we lift through the head and chest. Right? So as we challenge ourselves here, we're going to turn to the side. We'll unravel that back right leg. This will cause us to scooch a little bit on the tailbone. And you have that intuitive option to keep that leg, that left leg, in the half butterfly shape. If you want to rotate it inward, untucking your toes, or maybe letting the toes turn out to the side, allowing the ankle to turn out. That doesn't work for my body, but based on your bone structure, that may work for you. And then again, you're having the support of the props. Maybe over the thigh, maybe on the thigh, so that you can roll up those blankets and pillows to support the forehead. Just using your props in any which way. And you're welcome to try both variations here and then settle for what's best. When we're choosing between variations, we're not choosing, oh, we have a question. Hold on one second. Hi, guys.
Hi. So when my left leg is tucked and the right leg is straight, if I'm leaning, it's okay to put a pillow blanket under your left hip?
Please.
I'm not left, sorry, right.
Right, yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you wanted to prop the left, you could as well, just seeing what's best for your hips.
Okay.
But yeah, I would definitely prop the right hip. Cool. Good question. Let me see. Your dog is comfortable on your props. Love it. Does that help, Lena, though?
Yeah, it's still not straight, but it'll be okay, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's okay. It definitely doesn't have to be straight. Your pelvis does not have to sit straight, but because of the leaning, it is helpful to have somewhat of a prop, and you can even make it higher if you wanted to, but that may be too high.
Where are you supposed to feel the stretch?
Now, it could be in your left leg because of how your opening or closing the hip, or maybe it's in your right leg because you're forward folding over the thigh.
Okay.
Where do you feel it?
More towards my left knee.
Okay. In a way that you want to explore, or?
I'm debating about that.
Oh, cool. So then feel free to debate, but then if you want to unravel it and open the hip out to the side, yeah, you can play around with that too. Cool. Yeah, both are good options. So everyone can kind of feel free to try both. Nice. That actually, we still have some more time here, but that's going to bring me into a fun little tangent. The cool thing, so feel free to breathe and soften and do that. But the idea to always keep the hips square is very debatable in yoga. Our hips, when we naturally walk, aren't always square. First of all, right? There's always a tilt to the one side of the pelvis or the other side of the pelvis, depending on how you're walking. Right? So as your front leg steps first, that tilt of the pelvis goes forward. The back leg that didn't step yet, that tilt is actually tilting back. And then there's this movement. And if you probably saw my hands, it may make a little more sense, but just so you know, there's this movement of the pelvis going forward and backwards as we're walking, each leg moving in a different direction. So when we talk about like the coccyx bone and the sacroiliac joint and the mysteries of the lower back, there's debate between if always keeping the hips square is helpful, especially because naturally our hips are never in the same point. They're never actually squared through our movements, through the joints, and things like that. So it's just something to think about. But with that in mind, and I'll actually keep talking about that tangent, but let's keep that on pause so that we can begin to release from this forward fold over the right leg. So we'll allow the palms to come down. We'll start to lift through the head and chest. Okay. And the cool thing is here is I've set you up to move organically and intuitively. As you unravel your legs, maybe you stay facing the same direction. Maybe your hands come back behind you and you rotate to the same place you were in when you were in deer. It could feel good to immediately lay down on the back and hug the knees into the chest. Maybe you want to rock a little bit side to side. Sometimes there's that cathartic feeling through the sway or the rocking of the body. But then don't forget, we have to take our rebound pose. So whether you find yourself lying down on the back or belly, you find yourself sitting up, maybe you're in child's pose. But just come to that meditative pause, that place to observe and reflect. You may be experiencing different or similar sensations as the fascia contracts back. And as we've spent time releasing in the pose, now maybe in rebound, you allow yourself to receive, talking about that letting in. Spend another moment here with the body. Spend another moment here with the breath. Observing that inner gaze behind the eyelids, right, as if it was a reflection in the mirror. And if at this point in time your body wants you to stay in rebound, you're welcome to stay in rebound. If you're choosing, though, to come into the little sequence on the opposite side, maybe your arms reach up above the head, maybe you're windshield wipering the knees, depending on how you've taken rebound. Just taking any little intuitive movements along the way for you to come back to that seated shape. From that seated shape, let's come into deer on the opposite side. So again, finding the blanket or pillow to support the tailbone, right? Sometimes in deer too, you may be leaning into just one hip, so we can allow ourselves to prop the hips to find that support. Folding over the right shin with the left knee bent behind us. Eventually, we'll turn to the side to do the forward fold over the straightened leg. One very important thing to note as you support yourself in this next little sequence is when we arrive into the shape of the pose, it's not about doing what you can do. It's about doing what your body guides you to, if that makes sense. So the point of my story here is, yeah, I could hold this for a very long time, you know, like, and many of us can, just hanging out in a deep stretch for a very long time. But just because I can do it doesn't mean I'm supposed to do it. So the point of the practice is listening to the body and letting the sensations guide you where is best. So for example, right now, where is best for me is to stay propped longer, not have so much of a rounded spine, allow my spine to be a little more straightened. This is where I'll hang out, you know, if I was in the practice, and you can find what's best for you. That's all. I just wanted to note that there. Especially as we become more and more familiar with yin, I've been guilty of this, and other students who I teach as well will find ourselves just doing the things because we can do them, but the body may be guiding you elsewhere. The body may be trying to show you something else that you can receive, something else that you can let in and absorb from your practice. So we should take that in mind. And that little idea actually resonates with all types of yoga or all types of exercising, or, I mean, lots of things. You know, it's like that idea of, you know, I can send another email. I can, but should I? It's midnight. You know, that type of thinking. Let allow the body to guide us into our decisions. Let the body help us here as we soften and release. Relaxing into the shape just enough And we'll continue to let go of unnecessary tension. We'll continue to soften and let go of unnecessary control. Finding ourselves release and receive simultaneously. In a similar way to us sitting with both comfort and discomfort simultaneously. Keeping your eyes closed or your gaze soft, we'll begin to awaken the arms and awaken the palms as we start to guide ourselves up and out of the forward fold, lifting through the spine. And you don't have to think twice about this. Unravel that back left leg. You'll start to scooch on your hips facing the side wall. Right leg has the option to stay open as you take your props to fold in any which way. Or maybe you'll internally rotate instead and still fold. That fold does not have to be very far. Some days keeping the spine very tall, straight as you're sitting, could give you enough sensation. And after you soften, after you relax through the glutes and through the hips, then you may get that message, oh, okay, now I can round a little bit. I can soften through my belly. I'll start to hinge forward. Maybe that's enough. Maybe you let your spine and back muscles arrive into that before going deeper. And in this practice, as we allow ourselves to not only let go of what's unnecessary, we're allowing ourselves to receive this new awareness. Yes, we are confirming the intelligence of our minds, but we're remembering this intelligence of the body. So continue to arrive into the breath. Patiently soften. Remember, you are never stuck. The intelligence of the body will have you change shape, change variation. Sometimes you're a little deeper into the pose, sometimes you're not as deep. And staying present within the stretch. Maybe reflecting on what you feel is releasing. Also observing what you are receiving here and now. So from here, with your eyes closed or the gaze soft, you can begin to walk your hands closer towards your body, starting to lift through the head and chest. It's important to move slow so that you can still perceive and receive sensation. As you start to lift up through the spine, does the body keep you facing that side wall? Maybe your arms come back behind you, rotate you to face in another direction. But there is no right or wrong. Maybe the arms reach up above the head. Maybe your legs lengthen, especially since they've been bent. You may find yourself resting on your side body, rolling to your belly, twisting in some way. But eventually you'll come to that place to rebound. And how you feel in your rebound is a good indication of how effective the stretch was. Do you notice your inner awareness present? Do you notice the space of the breath? What do those subtle sensations feel like to you as they contract back? Your experience in rebound gives you that moment to observe, to check in. Maybe you rode that edge, that place between comfort and discomfort. Maybe you rode it perfectly, and you're observing that in rebound. Maybe you didn't ride that edge enough. Maybe there wasn't enough of a challenge to the edge, and that's fine. But you'll observe that in rebound. Maybe you surpassed your edge. You played around, you dabbled in discomfort, maybe a little too far. And your body will be telling you that, showing that to you in your rebound. So that conscious pause to check in, learning how the body communicates to you is extremely important. Okay, and as we take that new knowledge that we've received, that new knowledge that we let in and absorbed, we're going to take that with us into our next few poses. So feel free to move around, reach the arms, windshield wiper the knees, depending on how your body wants you to wake up. And then we'll all come back to a seated shape. Okay, we'll all come back to a seated shape here so we can talk about the next stretch. Now, the next stretch is really fun. We're going to come into a yin stretch and then like a hybrid restorative yin stretch, literally of the same pose. So let me show you. All you'll need is a pillow underneath your head because we're going to come into open wing. So if you usually prop your head when we have the arm out to T to roll into the shoulder, you'll keep that there. And then maybe you have a bolster, a pillow, blankets for the restorative aspect. So we're going to be coming down onto the mat here. Once your belly is on the mat, your left arm is out to T. Okay, so once I bring my left arm out to T, I'm going to roll into the shoulder. Here I am, I have my pillow under the head. Maybe your knees are slightly bent. Maybe your legs are straight out. Maybe your back knee bends in there. Your foot possibly will come in front of you instead, depending on the rotation of your hip. So again, intuitive decision, decide what you want to do based on what feels better. So we're going to have the yin experience. Eventually, we're going to start to roll out of the shoulder. As we roll out of the shoulder, I scooch a little bit on my chest, so now there's no more weight. And then I'm going to take those pillows and blankets in between my inner thighs. Knees are high into the chest, and I'm still in open wing. I'm just in more of a restorative shape. Okay, so we're going to experience this after taking the yin stretch of it. Okay, so let's come into the yin pose first. Keep those extra pillows or blankets for the inner thighs. Keep them close to you because we'll use that later on. But we'll start with the left arm out to T. So as you come to your belly, left arm is out to T, you'll roll into the shoulder, stacking the right hip. Now you can keep your right arm in front of the chest, or maybe you bring your right arm up and around the low back and take your half bind. As long as the right shoulder can also relax here. That left arm that's in open wing, the palm can face down to the floor or it can turn up to face the ceiling. Just depends on what's the better rotation for your elbow, for your shoulder, for your wrist. And then we'll allow ourselves to arrive. As we take the time to soften energetically, releasing not only through layers of skin, but also through muscles and bones. Relaxing into the fascia that surrounds each organ, suspending it within the body. We get to come back to this innate sense. Maybe we can describe it as a more natural state. Oftentimes we think how the mind knows what's best for us. But I'd like you to think about, in what ways does our body know what's best for us? In what ways does our body always do, or how does the body take care of us? I'll rephrase it that way. The body knows what's best for us. How does the body take care of us? And in some ways, maybe the mind doesn't participate. Allowing yourself to receive not just this inner knowledge, but also the inner healing. Regardless of the mind, in what ways does the body naturally heal for us? Checking back in with the breath. Checking back in with that internal gaze behind the eyes. Let's keep the left arm where it is. If your right arm is bounded back behind you, you'll slowly pick up through the right arm and guide it back in front of the chest. If your legs are apart, we're going to slowly guide them back together. Allow the left knee to come up high into the chest, and then the right knee. Allowing you to find that pillow or blanket to support the inner thighs, the inner knees. And you may find your right arm, the forearm relaxing down on the floor, the hand even touching the floor. And usually I scooch onto my chest a little bit more. I scooch off of and out of that left shoulder so it doesn't have all the weight in it. And I still have my head relaxing on a pillow or blanket. At this point again, left palm can stay down, or you can flip the left palm up. Maybe in this relaxed state that feels comfortable for you. There may be subtle sensations, feeling as if we're somewhat in a rebound state, but not quite. Our bodies will always do what is best for us. As we come back to this natural state, noticing the body's natural state to heal. The fascia itself healing as we're here in the stretch. And it will continue to heal even when we're out of the stretch. resting within this comfort and support. We don't even have to consciously think about it. We get a paper cut. We're not looking at the paper cut, healing it with our eyes, right? There's no consciousness to that. You forget about it, right? But the body doesn't, and it's naturally healing that paper cut, for example. So yes, our yin practice is here for us to release and to let go and to surrender. But we'll want to take time to notice all that we're letting in and all that we're receiving. And if you'd like to stay here a little longer, you're more than welcome to do so. But if you're ready to release, let's first awaken the right arm. Maybe it reaches up towards the ceiling, or we stretch the bicep over our ear, reaching the hand over the head. But when we're ready, we'll allow that right hand to remove those pillows or blankets in between the thighs. We may be straightening the legs as if we were coming back into open wing, but that will just create the space to start to roll out of the shoulder entirely and rolling onto the belly. Maybe your hands come underneath your head to rest your cheek or forehead. Or maybe you have your arms resting in some other place that feels best. If it feels good to bend the knees, kick the feet up, and windshield wiper the knees from side to side, you're more than welcome to. And sometimes it just feels good to even bend the knees and let the feet kind of hover in the air. If you'd like to enter rebound, begin to enter rebound. But if you want to relax the legs and extend through the spine, whether you come into a low cobra shape or an up dog shape, possibly reaching the heels all the way back to meet the hips in child's pose. Or maybe the body wants you to move into down dog or cat cow. Wherever you are, this is a freedom of expression, so enter your own space to rebound. Taking that moment to observe and reflect. Notice differences within the breath. Maybe there are gurgles through the belly, gurgles through the throat, or just natural sound. Noticing this awareness or even this aliveness to maybe the left arm or other parts of the body that you've connected with so far. If you'd like to stay in rebound, you're more than welcome to stay. But if you'd like to come into open wing on the right side, you may find yourself awakening through a few natural movements, right? Whatever feels good, right? In the same way when you wake up in the morning and your body just naturally takes that stretch, right? That's still intuitive, so wake up however you'd like. And then we'll prepare ourselves to come back to the belly. As we come back to the belly again, that arm is going to come out to T. So my right arm comes out to T, roll into the shoulder. And if you feel like your shoulder digs into the ground, you may want to take an extra blanket just to prop against the floor. We want to start in the open wing stretch, right? You could still have your knees slightly bent. Maybe your legs are straightened, or that back left leg will now bend behind you or in front of you. Maybe even your bottom right knee bends a little bit. You can really find any variation of the legs. Left palm can stay in front of the chest. Maybe your left forearm is relaxing in front of you. Or you can bring the arm up and around the low back to take a half bind. And that's another perfect example. Your arm, the left arm, can bind. Maybe it physically can. But should you right now? Is that what the body is looking for? So coming into the stillness for long periods of time gives us that chance to listen, make adjustments to our variations accordingly. And then we'll begin to allow ourselves to arrive. Letting go of any areas that you feel this unnecessary clenching or gripping. If there's clenching or gripping in the jaw, between the teeth, right, we want to notice that and soften it. If there's clenching or grip to the shoulders, we want to let those soften, noticing how the collarbones also get to release there. And even if you think about the space of your belly, let's soften into the upper belly, soften into the lower part of the belly, and then soften into the entire space of the belly. If there's any clenching to the glutes or hips, you can let yourself release. Maybe after some of these releases, you'll notice a sudden deep breath. Immediately, your body is giving you that feedback. Again, arriving into that inner gaze behind the eyes. Maybe observing it like a reflection. Maybe daydreaming within that space. Let's keep the right arm where it is. If the left arm is bounded back behind you, we'll want to slowly guide that in front of us. And then if your legs are apart, we'll guide one leg back on top of the other. Begin to hug that right knee high into the chest. Hug the left knee on top, right? The higher the knees reach up to the chest, the better, just to engage within the joints of your lower back. Okay, so the higher the knees, the better here. And then place that pillow or blanket in between your inner thighs, your inner knees. You can hug that blanket or pillow close to your belly. And then we'll allow the left palm, the left forearm, right, to completely relax, right? It's almost like you're scooching off of the hip and out of the shoulder. Maybe you're resting a little more onto your chest. Again, if the palm wants to flip up here, maybe in the relaxed state, it feels better. Doing whatever feels most comfortable, but in this hybrid variation, it doesn't feel quite like yin, even though there may be subtle sensations. It's not going to feel completely restorative because we're not fully propped as much as we could be. We still may be practicing riding that edge. There may be a little discomfort within the quietness or the stillness. Maybe the mind wants to hurry off to the next thing. That's also a sign saying you're riding your edge. Staying present within your breath. Staying present within the body. Noticing the amount that you can learn from yourself is immeasurable. Let's keep the right arm where it is. If the left arm is ready to awaken, maybe we lift the arm high to the ceiling. Maybe the bicep reaches up over the ear and the palm reaches up over the head to touch the floor. When we're ready, the palm can come back in front of us just to support. The legs will straighten. And then you may find yourself rolling onto your belly again. Some people immediately flip over to their back. So no right or wrong, wherever your body takes you this particular time on this particular day. Arms resting near you, down by the hips, to the sides of you, up above the head. This reclaimed space through in the shoulder, right? Let it rest naturally. Knees could always bend if you want to windshield wiper them or just shake through the hips. Again, you may find yourself lengthening through the spine, finding a child's pose shape if that feels good. Maybe you're twisting into the other side of the body. But you'll come to your own comfortable place to rebound. The pause giving us a chance to not only observe and to arrive consciously, but also to build the fascial and neural memory in the same way we talk about muscle memory. If you think about a photographer taking a picture to capture a moment, right, that becomes a still or a frame. Our rebound experience is that capture of the experience. It's the capture of the memory here. So receive through the body. Receive through the breath. Receive through that inner gaze as we acknowledge the body's natural instinct to heal. If you'd like to stay here a little longer, you're more than welcome to do so. But if you're ready, you may find some little natural movements to awaken. And then we're going to come into one more thing that will lead us into Shavasana. So this one more thing here is going to be another hybrid experience. But really, I'm going to let you choose whatever you want to do. So whatever props you're going to use for Shavasana, you're going to keep them near you now. So I know for Shavasana, I would take a pillow under my head, right? So I'm going to keep that back there. Now, we're going to allow ourselves to come to lay down to take butterfly. So let me first show you butterfly, soles of the feet together, knees out wide, right? This allows us to be more into the yin aspect of it with the stretch. Even if you're looking for the stretch, but you want a little prop to the thighs, you're welcome to prop your thighs or your knees. To come into more of that hybrid experience, like half yin, half restorative, you may take a bolster or a stack of pillows and blankets, like making it as high as you want. I'm just going to use my bolster just so that you can visually see it. And I bring it really close to the edge of my glutes. I pick my tailbone up, and I like to guide my tailbone underneath me just so that my back's connected to the mat. And then I'm going to bring the soles of my feet together, my calves, my knees, the edge of my thighs, on the bolster itself, right? So this is making it more restorative, but I also have slight yin fascial stretch, right? So if you want to play around with that hybrid, you can. Some people will walk their feet a little off of their bolster and kind of let them dangle. That actually feels really good. I don't do it often, but that feels really good. Except I would take some books or blocks, maybe another pillow or blanket, just so that my feet can be off, but still comfortable. That's a little high. Yeah, maybe I would do that. I'd bring it on a lower level. Right? So you'll have to play around with it. I'm even playing around with it as I'm talking about it. So usually I like to have my feet right on the bolster. But depending on the shape of your pillows or the shape of your bolster, your feet may want to walk off a little bit. Maybe your legs are a little longer. You need more space. It actually also feels good. So then I just brought an extra block next to me underneath my feet so that my feet don't have to dangle. Okay, so the idea here is if you're going to have this shape with the bolster or pillow underneath you, when you come into Shavasana, you'll just straighten your legs and keep that prop underneath the thighs or gently move it away. And if you're just coming into the yin aspect of it all, you'll welcome any props as you prepare for Shavasana. Okay, so take a moment here to arrive into the best shape for you. Hands and arms may like to rest near the body. Maybe they extend alongside the body or up above the head. Allowing your entire back body to soften beneath you. And allowing your front body to expand above you. Noticing the patience and the persistence it may take to guide your awareness to soften and to release. But also noticing that same patience and persistence, allowing yourself to receive, giving yourself that permission to let go as well as to let in. If you'd like to stay in this butterfly shape for Shavasana, you're more than welcome to do so. But if you'd like to slowly begin to lift the thighs to straighten the legs, if it's comfortable, the thighs can stay propped underneath any pillows or blankets. If it's more comfortable, just slowly guide them away. You may feel subtle sensations within this rebound effect. But as we arrive into stillness, we'll fully absorb the practice. as we welcome ourselves into Shavasana. Very gently, we'll begin to deepen our breath, allowing ourselves to arrive back into the space of your body, back into the space of your room, and into the room that we energetically share. Arriving back into the warmth of the breath, you'll notice the placement of your hands and feet, and you could begin taking some small, gentle movements. If it feels good to reach the arms up and above the head to take a full body stretch, do so. And by the knees bending, the feet can come flat to the floor. Maybe you windshield wiper the knees from side to side, awaken through the hips and torso. From there, you're welcome to hug the knees into the chest, wrapping around the shins or the backs of the thighs. If it feels good, you can reach your forehead up to your knees, lengthening from the back body. And then you'll intuitively roll either to the left or to the right. If it feels good to end your practice on your side body, you're welcome to stay. Or you can gently guide your palms down to the floor and walk yourself back up to a seated shape. Okay, so No right or wrong. Allow yourself to end your practice in the way that the body guides you towards. But of course, once you find stillness, you'll reclose the eyes in case they've opened. Taking a moment to reflect on your practice, reflecting on the ability in that space to soften and release as you let go, but also absorb and receive as you let in or as you invited. So, with that in mind, let's find a cleansing breath together. We'll inhale through the nose. And then open the lips to exhale. You're welcome to guide the hands into a prayer shape as we close our class with the sound of Om, taking a deep breath in. Very gently bowing your chin towards your chest. Thank you for practicing with me this evening, being elevated through yoga. Namaste. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.